The road to homeownership is not always smooth and not always moving forward. Sometimes you have to take a step back. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about some times where you may have to take a step back in order to move forward with buying your first home. Welcome to the Homeowner Prep podcast, where every week we educate and encourage aspiring homeowners to help them buy their first home faster. If you aspire to own a home, you're in the right place, so enjoy. Do us a favor and leave a review, a rating, and be sure to subscribe. Now let's get to this week's episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Homeowner Prep podcast. I'm your host, Eric Halan, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about times where you may have to take a step back in order to move forward in your home buying journey. I know everybody would love to have a smooth journey, a smooth process of going from where you are to where you ultimately want to be, which is becoming a homeowner, but that's not always the case. On a recent call with a client, we actually sat down and we went over income and budget, credit, and all these things look good except for the fact that our client just wasn't earning enough money to buy a home in the area that they live in. So our advice was actually somewhat of a step backwards in the process, because our advice was, hey, if you want to earn more income and you want to get the job that you truly want, we know that you're going to have to go back to college in order to make that happen. So our advice and the journey that we mapped out for our client was going back to school, getting a degree, and getting a position that's going to pay him more so he can buy his first home. This does happen. Sometimes we meet with clients and they have to take a step backwards in the process in order for them to move forward. Another instance that we had was someone who was new to their job and yet they were still looking for another job. And our advice to our client was, if you stay in this industry, in this job for just 2 years and make that sacrifice, you'll be more prepared to buy a home because the lender wants to see that job history. So although you may not want to stay on this job and you may be looking for another job, if you are in the same pursuit of trying to buy a house and that seems to be more important to you, then you may need to bite the bullet and stay in your current position. That way you have the job history. Another instance may be if you pull your credit and you see that you have a collection account. If you have collections, the lender is typically going to penalize you for that, meaning they either won't give you a loan or they're going to charge you a higher rate because you're more credit risk to them. So you want to make sure that if you do pull your credit and you see a collection account, that you really take the time to get it removed and get it satisfied. That way you can move forward and you're not paying the repercussions of having that collections on your account. So yes, that may seem like a step backwards, but you're actually preparing yourself to move forward in a better position, saving yourself some time and some money going forward. So there are times when you have to take a step back in order to move forward, but it really comes down to your mentality. You have to be ready and willing to do whatever it takes to buy your first home. And a lot of times that comes down to having a custom game plan. When you have a plan in place, it's easier for you to recognize that, yes, I'm making a temporary sacrifice in order for the greater good to take place in my life. And that means doing what it takes to buy your first home. So having a plan makes the sacrifice easier. If you're ready to see where you're at, the best way to do that is to connect with us so we can have a consultation, which is free to you, and we can put together a custom game plan that'll help you see exactly where you're at and what you need to do in order to buy your first home. You can do that by texting us START at 619-848-3700, or you can visit our website at homeownerprep.com/start. We'll set up a free consultation with you, get you started, and get you on your path to buying your first home. If you have a question, a direct question, or unique situation that you just need a quick answer to, the best way to do that is to actually reach out to us on our social media channels. We tend to get the majority of our questions on Instagram at Homeowner Prep, so feel free to reach out. I hope you got some great value from today's episode, and I really hope that you recognize that sometimes taking a step back is actually taking a step in the right direction. So if you have the mentality to do what it takes in order to buy your first home, you'll still find that that step back is going to propel you forward. I look forward to providing you with some more great content on the next episode. And until then, be blessed. If you've enjoyed this show and got some great value from it, please be sure to rate and review. And if you're checking it out on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. That really does help us to continue the show and bring in some great guests to help you on your home buying journey.